Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fanatic Comics. We're talking to our six scale combat about Napalm Brothers issue 3. The campaign is closing down. The book is finished. It's at the printers. And how you feeling, Six?
Exotic, hungover, and a tad angry.
Oh, okay. Wow. Uh, uh, okay,
That
so
wasn't the
I
answer
get the
you
exotic.
were looking for, right?
Yeah. What has you angry? What has you angry, brother?
I don't know. We'll get into that later on in the stream, I guess.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I have a bunch of questions I want to ask you
Yeah, sure.
because
That's what Carrie told me, that you were kind of preparing for this for a little while.
yeah,
Unfortunately, we couldn't do it sooner than this. But I guess,
yeah,
yeah, campaign closing day, the day that the book actually goes to the printer. I think that's a good day to do the stream. You know.
yes. And I'm sorry, oh holy Grahovic. I am so sorry we're late.
Oh, we're late.
He's oh he's giving us crap. So um but first, all right, creating something is like giving birth. Okay. I know it's not like, childbirth, but I'm just saying you give birth to something. It's an idea, it becomes form, and then it's out there, and now everybody sees it.
No, you're
So,
right. It's a good metaphor. For me, making the Napalm Brothers is exactly like shitting out a watermelon. It's
okay.
painful. It's
Well,
painful, but when you crack that baby open, it's sweet. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, my question to you is this. All right, you did it. You finished the arc. You got your story arc, man. You got it. All three issues out there. How you feel about that? What do you see about it that you like? What do you see that you don't like, or you would have changed or done differently?
Well, listen, the book is the way I like it. You know what I mean? And we were sort of
Mm-hmm.
talking about this backstage for a little bit. Of course, there's sort of an evolution in the artwork, but the story was set from the day I started it. And yeah, I think I really found my groove in this Napalm Brothers universe. I
Mm-hmm.
set the stage for this IP, and yeah, I think it's a $1 million IP, to be frank, especially in this time when there's really a lack of freedom in the comic book world. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
Oh yeah.
sky's the limit. You know,
Yeah.
is there
Well,
anything I regret? That was part of the question. Well,
all right, well, anything you might want to change or you're not happy with. I don't think I
well,
don't. I can't imagine you having any regrets.
I do have regrets. I have regrets.
Oh,
I have regrets working with John Del Arras to get this really fine book out. You know what I mean? Not so much with Doug Garrett, because Gravestone Press and Doug Garrett, he's like me. He's a Renaissance man. He does it all himself,
yep.
and I can only respect him and his opinion to sort of go on our way. That has to be said, because I mean that from the heart. But yeah, John Del Arrows is a hack, man. He's a complete hack. He's not a comic book lover, you know. So yeah, what do I regret? I regret working with him, and that's the only negativity you'll hear out of me in this whole stream.
Okay. And I can fully understand why, because I mean the book was being published without your consent. It was literally being bootlegged. So yeah, I get it. I get it. I fully understand. And there's never been any stoppage. So
What do you mean with me?
uh,
With going forward with the project?
I thought issue 2 was still over on Amazon. Is it not?
It's yeah, it is still being sold on Amazon, and
Yeah.
with one phone call or with one email, Del Aris could actually stop that, but he doesn't do it because he's spiteful that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I won't really go into the specifics because yeah, I don't want this to turn into a negative stream. Rather, it's really positive, man. We have 3 books out. We have the omnibus out. We have a couple of guest artists that have done a really fine job in this book.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, that's the cool thing, man. And it kind of shows that if you really put your mind to it, and if you really love comics, you can do this. Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah.
Any
Well,
upstarting artist, or maybe an artist a little bit further along, a writer, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get a book out. You know, and yeah, people always say, "Listen, Six, why don't you self-publish?" I have a very good reason for not self-publishing, and maybe one day I will disclose that. But I also like sort of interaction because I'm a solo artist, writer, colorist, and everything else in between. I sort of like having that interaction with someone, yeah, sort of on an equal foot, who brings out these comics. In this case, Fanatic, and thank you, Lee, for approaching me to do this project because, yeah, I wouldn't say it was dead in the water, but I was sort of struggling to get the third book out, and we did it, and we
yep.
actually we made more money than uh, than in the previous campaigns. If you put
Yeah.
if,
Yeah.
if you put the Indiegogo and the Kickstarter together, we made more money. So that means if we continue on this line, if we continue make really good books and being really decent and open and honest to the backers,
Hmm.
uh, we have a good IP going.
I completely and totally agree. I loved the first issue when it came out, but I didn't buy the second one, and the reason was is because our mutual friend told me that he never wanted me to buy another one of his products ever again. So I kept my word. I have kept my word.
Which mutual friend are we talking about? Because there's a couple.
JDA.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, JDA. Listen,
Yeah.
that guy, when he decided to do the mouse parody, like the quintessential book in comics, actually one of the books that gives comic books their legitimacy, when he decided to do a parody on that, because yeah, the Holocaust apparently to JDA is funny. That's kind of when I lost all hope for him. But
Yeah.
that's enough said about him.
Yeah.
I just got a DM by Sonny Cucaracha by Roach Balls, and he wants to join the stream, so that's pretty cool.
Oh,
If we could
good.
get a link out to him, um, some way,
All right. Let me.
we're here in Ankara and we're having technical difficulties, but maybe you might have to friend him first on Twitter before you can send him the DM. Meanwhile, I'm listening to Leonard Skinner and drinking beer. So there you go. Oh, now I'm the only one talking. That's cool. Listen, man, Napalm Brothers. Yeah, it was really a project done from the heart. It was really a project. It was a story that needed to be told. Lots of historical references. Uh, in my mind, lots of humor and some pretty damn decent art. And yeah, I guess you could say it's all an homage. Uh, I won't name all my references again, but yeah, it was a homage to a certain era and also a parallel between what was going on back then and what is going on now. And yeah, I just thought this story needed to be told. Hey, I think Lee is back.
Yes. I kicked myself out of my own stream. How brilliant.
Yeah, it happens. The story of my life, man.
Yeah. Hey, I'm really good at ass kicking. I kick my own ass. Uh, okay. So I'm going to send that link over. But I do want to ask you, um, where do you go from here? I mean, what do you have an idea where you want to go from here? I mean, now that you finished this first arc.
Well, story wise, I've got about 5 stories that all sort of build up. And yeah, it's not going to be linear because I was really thinking about just doing a linear sort of build of arcs, but we might have some flashbacks. We might have some prequel action going on, And then we might have a couple of stories that actually take place later on in, let's say, the lives of the Napalm Brothers. Personally, I really enjoy working with guest artists, and I'm thinking about doing maybe part of a book or part of an omnibus with one guest artist, maybe even one writer, uh, sort of a guest artist writer. Naturally, I'm a little hesitant about writers. My thing. It's another shtick. Yeah, I'm just I like doing it all myself, but I think the IP is so great and so good that we can get some more people involved. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that, Lee?
This is your IP, but if you want to add people and bring people in, I think you should go for it. If you're comfortable with it and you don't think there's going to be an issue, I'd say run with it. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes having somebody to soundboard off or bounce ideas off and do collaborations with actually helps to improve the
That
product.
was the
So,
word. That was the word I was looking for. Soundboard. That was exactly the word I was looking for. Yeah, that's kind of what I think is good. And like I said, the characters are so strong. I mean, every side character, every main character, they could have their own comic in my mind. You know what I mean? But
mhm.
putting it all together, yeah, putting it all together, it's a world. And I guess it's sort of parallel to actual history, regardless of the historical references. Yeah, I guess you could say it's parallel. So there is room for sort of storyline expansion.
Yeah.
Will it ever get overly silly or preachy? No, I don't think so. I think this is really honest comics with an X. You know what I mean? Napalm Brothers.
Mhm.
Shit. Hey, I see my friend Richie just joined. Stokey
Hey, what's up?
Cucaracha of the Roach Balls.
What's
Man,
up?
I'm honored. I'm so honored you're here. This the closing stream of my humble book, and you're more than welcome, man.
Hey, thank you, brother. I'm humbled to have been invited to come and kick it with you guys. So thank you, brother. The gratitude is all mine. How's everybody today?
Cool stuff. Well, we were just rambling about the Napalm Birds, and about what a great book it is. No, but like Richie, you do it all yourself as well, right? Writing, coloring, inking, penciling.
Yep,
How
that
do
is
you, how do you
correct.
find this process? I mean, for me, we were just talking about the metaphor of giving birth, and I said it was spot on because it's like shitting out a watermelon, doing it all yourself.
Yeah, it's something like close to being that poetic right there. Well, I don't know if it's that poetic, but,
See, that's what I was thinking. I don't think it's that bad, but okay.
but it is it's crazy. It's a lot. Like it's hard to balance. It's not hard to balance it out, but there's like certain things like I find the penciling to be a lot more mentally time consuming because that's when I'm
Penciling,
like
yeah,
kind of writing it too at the same time.
yeah.
So I'm not going off a script or anything, and then it's a lot more time consuming because I have to do a lot of like stepping back and changing shit around and changing up dialogue or changing direction and perspective and shit. So yeah, it's crazy, but I mean, if you got the mental fortitude to just handle all that shit yourself, then
Mental
that's
fortitude, man. That's
right.
that's the name of my acoustic album. Yeah. No, but listen, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. After thing with inking, and somebody mentioned to me that Roach Balls is like really loose art wise, but I think it's tight as hell, man. It's like every pencil stroke you do and every bit of coloring and whatever. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
intentional. You know what I mean? It's not random. You've
It's a mix
actually
of both, honestly. I mean, the pencils start off a little tighter, but they're not as detailed. And then when I start with the inks, then the inks are loose. So like I heard that somewhere, start your pencils tight and then loose with the inks. And
well.
it
Let me,
just
let me
makes
say it different. It's not haphazard. It's actually
yeah.
it's sort of an organic growth. Yeah, the page sort of multiplies from the pencils, if that makes
Yes, it is
sense.
intentional. Yep, it is definitely intentional. So like a
Yeah,
lot
cool,
of
man.
copy shit. Even when I like mess up on the board, like I try not to get so overly like stressed about it and try to do it over again. I'll see if I could just roll into it and just cover up my mess ups. So
So yeah, I've been meaning to ask you sort of about this because you do this all on paper and then scan it.
yeah, yep, all on mixed media board.
So
And
traditional,
then
yeah.
yep,
Because
yep.
I sort of started out that way with the napalm, and then man, those fucking A3 printers, they cost like $2,000 or $3,000, good ones. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
just didn't have that money at the time, so I bought one of them Wacom tablets, and I
yep,
said,
yep.
okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it all digital. But people have mentioned to me that it does look like it's been done on paper, and that's probably because I'm not that good of an artist.
No, I think the style's definitely dope. Like I can tell it's like digital, but it's definitely got so much. It's so much grounded in that old school work, and I think the whole environment you built is like reminiscent of that time. Brings me back to some, gnarly like Apocalypse Now, kind of like gutter underground comics type style shit. So
Yeah.
Dude, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it.
yeah,
I don't think I abuse the digital factor because I still sort of approach it like I have to go out stealing pencils and stealing inks, and sort
excuse
of
me, yeah.
layer it because
I'm
that's
sorry.
what you do. But the layering process, I think, digitally is different from the layering process on paper. You know what I mean? It's
I
sort
just
of
got to tip
reversed.
out right quick just for a couple minutes. I'm so sorry, Sixth. I'll be right back. All right, I'm just gonna
All
go
right,
mute.
buddy, no problem. Yeah, so what I was saying, the digital process, I don't think I'm cheating with it, because for me, it's all about layering. A good art is layering,
Yeah.
not just, let's say, pencils in colors, but once you've done that, then you actually try to bring a page alive, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
do that, for instance, with custom fonts, especially in the last book. I don't know if you noticed this, Lee, but there's a lot of custom graffiti fonts. There's a lot of custom sound effects, and yeah, I've been really trying to incorporate that into the books, and that's one thing, with the fonts. Of course, this is all intentional from the start. You choose a certain font, but yeah, I think as I go on, I'm going to try to do also that process completely by hand, instead of yeah, using font packs and all of that, because it's just a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
Well, and like I told you before, I can see a evolution in your art style from issue 1 to issue 3. I can see it. It's very clear. Carrie was, like I said, Carrie. She's relatively new to comics still, and she caught it. And I was just thinking about the fact that I've seen this, and then Carrie brings it up, and she says, I see an evolution here. His art style has gotten better. I said, and she goes, and it's the panels. His panels look better. And I said, he looks like he's gotten comfortable with how he wants his panels to lay. I said, and it looks great. I love it. I think issue 3 is, um, I think, just the way the book looks, and you seem to be more comfortable with the story and your style now. That I think it looks much better than issue 1. Not to say that issue 1 wasn't good. It's just you can tell you're feeling it. You're in that
Well,
groove, and
I have
you're
to
there.
say it's not so much being comfortable because I was pretty comfortable doing book 1. I was freestyling it, but now with book 3, I had to wrap up this story and I had to wrap it on in such a way, not only that it makes sense, but that it's entertaining. So the panel compositions, yeah, they were really subordinate to the storytelling, and
Mhm.
yeah, I had a lot of sleepless nights doing the thumbnails. Like Richie says, the penciling, that's a lot of hard work,
Yeah.
just to make the story fit. You know what I mean? And that's
Mhm.
something like working with a writer that they don't really appreciate. I was talking to Matt Sixbar about this. He gave me an instance where some writer, he said he had to do an 11 panel page, and in one of the panels there was a 10 span horse drawer. I mean, how the hell do you do that? Yeah, so writers often don't really understand. Of course, in text, a story might be really good, but might not work art wise. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm a big opponent
Mhm.
for not only equal rights for artists, but also that artists should have some sort of freedom to change the stories here and there to make it visually better. Because end of the day, it's a cooperation between text and between pictorials. And yeah, if you want to write a book. And if you want to do an art portfolio, do an art portfolio. But when you do comics, it has to be a symbiosis. It can't be anything else. And that means give and take, just like a marriage. You know what I mean?
Yep. Teamwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry
teamwork,
about that.
man.
That was rude of
Yep,
me.
I totally agree.
And don't work with assholes, Don't work with fucking divas. Just work with people who really love comics, who like reading comics. And maybe you like watching movies, because there's a visual language to if you step beyond the dogmas, which I try to do, and I think Richie tries to do that as well, definitely. Yeah, if you go beyond the dogmas, then it's just a story. And how are you going to tell a story? And which elements are you going to incorporate into a story? And I think that's what really sets this style apart from, let's say, the more cape oriented stuff. I mean, I like that. I like superheroes, and I like all of that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of dogmas involved. What do you think about this, Rich? Is this a dogma dominated industry?
Yeah, I think if you want it to be, at the same time, you see a lot of people just not paying attention to those like certain rules and stipulations that are put up, as much as they might work if you're working in like a, just to help structure a comic and shit. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I think there's if you want to play in that game, then you got to play in that game, and then you're gonna have to abide by those dogmas and whatever, or those will take its toll on you. I think, I don't know, because I'm not in the industry like professionally like that. I've always just been like, snot nose, just doing it my way, or just understanding certain
You are
things.
not a snot nose, man. So,
Yeah,
but I understand what you mean. But I
yeah,
also
it's
say,
just like
I
dirty
sort of
face.
counter, understand what you're going. We're not having a debate or anything. But then I think of somebody like Sam Keefe, who was
Yeah, yeah,
part of the industry, and he sort of broke the mold. I think even more so than, for instance, Todd McFarlane.
yeah,
Because Todd McFarlane was actually pretty tight within the Marvel system. But
yeah.
Sam, they had a real problem with Sam. I mean, obviously they realized his talents and they realized his potential, but they couldn't give him the right title, until he actually sort of broke out and did that stuff that he did. You know what I mean?
There's an interesting little docu series, I guess, by this dude Jerk Comic on YouTube, and he does a pretty in depth like thing on Sam Keith, and like talks about how like weird I guess Sam Keith was. Like the dude just seems like he was through like a lot of old school interviews, just really insecure about himself. So no matter how dope, like people like us, we think we're on
Yeah,
the outside, like holy shit, his style is like crazy. He
yeah.
influenced us. Like he thought his style was shit, and he like hated it for some weird reason. And I'm like, well,
Wow.
it just the
There's a
pressure.
lot of them like that, though. There's a lot of
Yes,
them
like
like that.
Yeah, a lot of artists are
that
like
weird
that, Rich.
pressure
I
of
mean,
just being.
listen, we are really cool street guys, so and for me personally, I know my art's a little bit shit, but I also think it's the best around.
Yeah, I feel the same exact way, dude. Like I like my style, I'm confident in it, and I know it's got plenty of room to grow and shit. So I just never like really vibe with that mentality where it's like you gotta hate your own art, or you just do and you're just really insecure about it. And I feel like
Well,
if you are insecure, it's one of those things where it's visually like you can see where you're lacking, and then you just fix it. Just change
or
it.
you work around it, you know what I mean?
Right.
But there's
Yeah.
there's a difference between being insecure as a person, and there's a difference between understanding that good art comes from struggle.
Hmm.
But then again, creating any form of art or writing, that is a struggle in itself. You know what I mean? So you don't have to put extra pressure on yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Well,
So
okay, let's try it from this perspective. All right, you look at the ones who really excelled. You take your George Perez's, your John Burns, your Keith Giffens, Todd McFarlane, uh, 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 gosh, his name just went out of my head only because I can't
Bisley,
stand the guy.
let's say Simon Bisley, just
Yeah.
for the
Okay,
sake of it.
and then you take your Steve Rudes, your Steve Ditko's, um, Giffen, uh, those guys all those guys that I mentioned first, they were extremely successful, but they were confident about their art, their style. They knew what they
Yeah,
were
but
doing.
I have to say, Ditko was from a different era though, because I think
Yeah,
the whole medium was sort of building up, and there was more of a connection between the editorial staff, between the writers, and between the artists. It was all I feel it was all more on the same level, and they all knew what the comic was. They all knew their market, and this is also another factor because the comic book market has changed
yeah,
from Ditko's age to this age. Yeah, so there's a lot. I understand what you're saying, but there's a lot of differences in the situation, in the occupational situation, so to speak.
yeah. Well, what I'm getting at though is those guys all had a thing where they felt, for whatever reason, their art was crap. I mean, Steve Rude to this day, he will. I mean, if you check out any of his videos he's done or when he's
Yeah.
giving interviews, Rude, man, he is highly critical of his own work, and he
Very.
won't release something if it doesn't meet his standard, he won't let it out. He won't release it.
No, I understand this. Listen, I sort of come across as being aloof of what I'm doing, but yeah, I do go back over pages, maybe 10 times, maybe 20 times. That's why the whole process takes so long. It's not just because I have a full-time job, but I actually want to put something out that was in my mind instead of something that I think is good enough. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, that's a lot that's going on in the industry. Is there's such a time pressure and there's such a pressure to bring out a project that uh, maybe the lesser skilled people, they just get by doing the dogmas, and that's where the dogmatic side comes from. It's like a time issue. So yeah, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh about the whole process, but yeah, that's the good thing about doing a crowdfund, and that's the whole good thing about being self-published, is that we can take our time and we can just do what we want. I mean, it
Right,
was
and it gives
really
you that. It also gives you the opportunity to put something out there that might be niche, but still have people interested in it that you couldn't have gotten published anywhere else.
Well, I think, yeah, sure, Napalm Brothers is niche, but yeah, we're now publishing on a global platform. So it's
Right.
not so much me finding a niche; it's the niche finding me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just a matter of putting out good books. If you put out 20, 30, 40 good books, then people are going to find your niche, instead of you finding their niche. What do
Napalm's
you think
going
about
in
that?
demand, right? Oh,
What's that,
sorry.
Rich?
Napalm. Is it already in demand or is it going in demand?
No, I
Oh,
was in demand for a while because I didn't actually finish the book when we started the campaign. So it sort of went in demand.
It closes
As
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to close tomorrow, man. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But when this book is in hand, yeah, I think people are really going to dig it, man. They're going to dig my vision as an artiste.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I like that Latin tattoo art style that you've got. It's what drew me to it with the first issue. Um, but it's something I want to go over with you since I was about ready to dive into it. But
All right. Yeah, sure.
okay, so it is it is common knowledge that you are very big about keeping things to yourselves. There's
Hmm.
things that I didn't know about this book that I didn't know until I actually had the book in my hand, looking
Yeah.
at the proof. So now that the book is done, let's
Are,
talk about
are we going to
what
do
the
spoilers?
real.
We're not going to do spoilers, right?
No, we're not going to do spoilers. We're not going
All
to do
right.
spoilers. What I want to know is, I want you to tell the audience what the real meat and potatoes is of this story, because nobody really. I mean, it was there, but you didn't hit it home until the end. So,
Hmm.
kind of.
Well, okay. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Well, the main reason why I guess I started this book was not so much my love for the references in street culture and in comics and whatever. I guess it's a story. The bottom line is it's a story about loyalty. I guess the key word is loyalty, and with a snuff of vengeance thrown in because everybody likes vengeance. Vengeance is gripping, you know.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I think most storytelling is either based on sort of an erotic element or an vengeance element, you know, and it's all about power in the key components. But for me, the main thing is loyalty. It's sort of a loyalty driven revenge fantasy, so to speak. You know what I mean? Maybe yeah. And I guess it's not that much fantasy because uh, like I said, there's a lot of historical references in it, and a lot of the stuff
Mhm.
actually happens. You know. So,
And a
but
bit
what
of a
is it to
critique on
you?
the
I
Vietnam
mean, you've
War.
been following this book from the beginning. What do you think is the red line, Lee?
Well, I think everything you just said, but there's a critique on the Vietnam War in this
Of
book,
course, yeah, of course. There's
and
critique,
it
but
isn't.
there's also acknowledgement that the guys who were sent there, a lot of them actually believed in what they were doing, and a lot of these guys
Mhm.
they went over there to help people, and there weren't all My Lai, and there weren't all burning villages, and yeah, they sort of grew up during McCarthyism, and they grew up with the idea that we had to stop the Red Menace. And I gotta be honest, if you look at what's going on now with wokeism and cultural nihilism, they weren't that far off, you know. And maybe it didn't happen in Vietnam. Maybe it didn't happen in Cambodia. Maybe the actual enemy was going through the long marches in our institutions, and that's what I think. Because they say, yeah, you sort of critique the hippies from the '60s, but at least the hippies were about free think and not about wrong think. So there's a love in my books for the hippies, and there's a love for the era. But I'm
Mhm.
trying to sort of reflect on it from a different perspective, from two Marines that actually went through this shit, came back, and were spat on. And they were just guys like you and me, and they weren't privileged. They didn't have the means to go to college, and they didn't have the means to buy themselves out of the draft. And this is what happened, and the story sort of evolves from that.
Well, you didn't hammer home not the critique on Nam until issue 3, and that it's good. I liked it. Um,
Well,
I
listen,
I
Napalm Brothers is not a pro-war book. I hope we never have to go to war again. But the main point is that the guys who do go to war for our way of life, they deserve a little respect when they come home. Because if you look at the grander scale, life is about finite time and finite resources. So yeah, I'm not about any sort of global system and I give everything to everybody. Yeah, I believe in nation states, and I believe in the cold hard reality that people are going to try to take your stuff away from you. What do you think
right.
about this, Rich? Is this getting too political for you? You can just bow out, man, if you want.
Yeah, man. I think I'm backer number 50, so I'm good.
And this is maybe a good segue into where Nepal Burst is going next. I can sort of reveal this, and it will be Rhodesia, and it will be Rhodesia for a certain point, because I'm not an advocate of colonialism by any means. But in particular in Rhodesia, there was a good symbiosis between the white settlers and yeah, let's say the native people. It was they made money, they had agriculture, and yeah, it was all sort of thrown away in a pretty horrible way. Farms being taken over by people who couldn't farm, and the country just dissolved, and the Western world sort of took their hands away from Rhodesia. And there's a good book. It's called Rhodesia's Death, Europe's Future, and it sort of draws a parallel about what's going on right now. And I think Rhodesia is a good setting for the next book, also because, and this is another interesting historical fact. A lot of Vietnam veterans went over to Rhodesia and to South Africa to fight as mercenaries. So there's actually an historical setting for the Napalm Brothers to be there, you know. And then, of course, I'm going to throw in a little psychedelics. I'm going to throw in some
Nice.
mystical elements, just
Yeah.
like I was sort of building up to the mystical elements throughout the arc. But I think in book 3, wouldn't you agree, Lee, that there's a really strong mystical element, which is actually
Yes.
also based in historical facts. You know?
And I was surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh, he's taking this in another direction. The book I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm not gonna give anything away because I don't want you. I want everyone to be surprised when they get this book. But issue 3 comes across as, oh, okay, we're finishing the story too. What the hell just happened? Wait a minute, what the hell? Wait a minute. Oh, I gotta go back and read 3 pages. Okay. Where in the hell is he going with this? Oh my god. He did what? So you're gonna see it changes, and then you're gonna go, oh, well, that's different. And I really enjoyed it. I thought, like I said, I can tell that you are more comfortable with, and like you said, maybe it's not comfort. You
No, I
just
wasn't
were
comfortable
in
because
the
the story was done. What wasn't
mood.
done was me actually drawing it, you know. And since I'm fully occupied, I mean, I have a full-time job. I
Yeah,
wish I could have done this in one go. And then everybody said, I understand what the Napalm Brothers is, you know, and I understand it for what it is. But yeah, because I didn't have that luxury of you know, I have to support a family and everything.
Yeah.
I
right,
had to
right.
take my time. I had to space it out. But in my mind, I really wish I would have done it in one go. But on the other hand, now we've got how many covers? We've got 6 covers, couple of variants. I said I was never going to do variant covers, but I didn't. Max Headroom, man, I love your art. Your art's so great. And of course, my dear friend Liz from Dapper Tattoos, who did the other cover. That was cool. Tony Sizzle, whose dad was
Yep.
in Nam. Tony, he contacted me after book 1. He said, "Man, that book really struck a nerve." You know, he said my dad was in Nam, and yeah, it was just awesome. He read it, he thought it was really cool. I said, "Dude, we got to do an Ashcan together, and I'll put your dad into the Ashcan." You know, and that's how kind of our friendship started online. You know, and actually, I'm gonna look it up right now. I
Well,
have
I'm gonna
the
be honest. I'm not really up to snuff on my history for the most part of a lot of stuff. I live in a very weird ass little bubble, but I'm glad that if anything, I'll be getting the scoop now, and it'll be through your comic book. Because if anything, that's the best way I want to learn. You know, through some dope ass artwork and through somebody's story or telling of
Hey, you
something.
know what, Rich? It's just like I said. It's a perspective,
Yeah,
uh, because the main theme in popular culture is that the Vietnam War was a bad war and it was sort of a post-colonial war.
yeah,
But I don't think that's exactly what went down. For instance, Ho Chi Minh, the leader of the Viet Cong, he was a nationalist, and he went to the precursor of the United Nations. It was called the League of Nations, and
yeah.
he actually
Yes.
sort of applied for sovereignty over French rule, and they denied him. But then the communist faction, which was a growing faction in Vietnam, they approached him, and they sort of combined forces, and that's how that whole conflict started. Then they kicked the French asses at Dien Bien Phu, and then America sort of wanted to protect their interest in the region because they thought there was going to be a domino effect, and that's why the Americans entered the war. Also, Kennedy, he wanted to try out his new smaller league tactics, war-wise, with special forces and sort of trainers and all that stuff. But it escalated from there. It just escalated. But yeah, like I said, Ho Chi Minh, he was a nationalist. He wasn't a communist, you know. So there's all these facets, and that's also what I find interesting about the Vietnam War. It's all these facets, all these factions, all this armament, this gear, that stuff from World War II, that legionnaires, that people from Australia. You know, it was like a potpourri of yeah, awesomeness. It wasn't awesome, but you know what I mean. So yeah, it's sort of my insights into this war, I guess. That's the backbone of the comic, you know. And it wasn't as black and white as the media makes it out to be.
Oh, is it
War
always like
never
that?
is.
There's always more details and more perspectives and
Yeah, it's
a
always like
lot more
if you ask the
exaggeration.
guys who did a Desert Storm, if you ask the guys who went to Fallujah, it's always nuance, you know. It's always
Yeah.
nuance. But the main theme is, and that's also kind of why I wanted to do the Napalm Brothers, is again these guys who go out and do this stuff for you when you are sitting at home and eating Doritos. Yeah, they deserve a little bit of respect. You might not agree with the politics behind why they were sent someplace, but they were defending your fucking Doritos, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah, that is the truth.
Yeah.
Well, when it
Sorry, I
gets
didn't want to get heavy on you guys.
no, it's the thing. Once you start walking down that path, you kind of have to go through the whole thing. And I know where you're going with this idea of going to uh it just went right out of my head. Not Rwanda. You're
What
you're gonna do
Rhodesia?
the next Rhodesia.
Yeah,
Because that was an entire nightmare on both sides. I mean, it
it was.
produced tons of famine. It produced a lot of casualties, and it wasn't even a war. It was just civil strife within the country. I mean, we should have learned from the Russians and from Pol Pot. You can't just take anybody and stick them on a farm and say grow food. It doesn't work that way.
Well, see, and that's kind of another theme that's in the Napalm Brothers is sort of history goes in waves. We didn't learn from Vietnam. The Russians didn't learn from Afghanistan. Nobody learns anything ever. It's just short-term politics. And they send in these guys, these soldiers, these brave young men who are often not older than 19 years old, and they get their limbs blown off, and they get their fucking nutsacks blown off, and they come back, and I'm some fucking privileged kid from college says he did the wrong thing. Yeah, I mean, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah,
History
yeah,
keeps repeating itself.
yeah,
Maybe even from
yeah.
prehistoric times, Roman times. Yeah, I
Oh
don't
yeah, I
know.
definitely believe that. I think that goes hand in hand with our history since like even before like prehistory, shit that we
Yeah,
don't even know about. I think human
and
beings are just
that's
freaking
what my
savage.
point was about time and resources being finite. We are never going to have a kumbaya moment. It's just never going to happen, especially now because how many billions, trillions of people are there on this planet? Yeah, it's just not going to happen because each reference group is going to go for their for their stuff, and we're not
Yeah.
all going to hold hands, and there's going to be strife. So we need soldiers.
Unfortunately, yeah,
Yeah.
because man's not going to change until something major happens within our cultural identity
Well,
as a as a
the
society.
way I see it, either we're going to wipe ourselves out, and this is going to get a little pessimistic, but either we're going to wipe ourselves out, or we're going to find some sort of Star Trek magical energy resources where we can do all this sort of almost magical stuff. But other than that, yeah, I'm a big believer in technology. I think technology can do a lot of stuff, but not if it's turned political, because
Yeah,
that's what I see happening now. I don't want the stream to go that way, but you know, Napalm Brothers, end of the day, it's a funny book. I tell a funny story, but there's a lot behind it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
okay, so let me ask you this: since we're going to go, it's a funny book. Uh, is there going to be
What
more
did you say? My
bongo?
book was funny? Did it make you laugh? Am I a comedian to you?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
all the time,
very
man.
much so. But we're going to see more
All right.
bongo. I
Leonard
love
Skinner
bongo.
is annoying me. I'm going to turn off Leonard Skinner for a second, man. We need some Wu Tang. Hold on. Yeah, ask me the question, bro.
I said, are we going to see more bongo? I love bongo.
Well, yeah, let's talk about bongo. See, the thing was, this is one of my main elements, huh? When I started Napalm Brothers, I said it's got to have a monkey. It's got to have a monkey in it. Any which way but loose, and just really to get that '70s vibe in there. But then, sort of halfway through making a book, I realized, yeah, gorillas and orangutans, they are a bit of a trope in independent comics.
Hmm.
And I was like, ah, shit. I sort of nailed myself to this character. I enjoy doing the character, but story wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? So I think I wrapped up Bongo very nicely, and I think he didn't die. He didn't die in book two, but I have this thing when a character gets injured, it has repercussions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, of course, when you start looking at Cooper, Cooper lost his leg. Zeke, he's paraplegic. You know what I mean? So when Bongo gets shot, Bongo get hurt, and I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, stuff has consequences writing wise. That's just kind of
Yeah.
the way I write. But
Don't
I
spoil
think
too
he's a
much
cool
because
character. He's going to come back, and I have to give a shout out to what's El Crudo, from the AR-15 orangutan. Man, I did not rip off your book. I think your book is really cool. It came before Napalm, and it didn't have nothing to do with that. It had more to do with me wanting a monkey and sort of the 70s. 70s. I think we lost Lee, Rich, so it's all Wu Tang and blunts from here on.
Well, I'm back.
Oh shit, he's back, but we weren't talking about you, Lee. We weren't talking about you, man.
Uh-huh. So you say. So you say. But no, I did it. I don't know. Man, I really like go. I'm sorry. I really like it.
Dude, you're glitching.
yep,
You're
roboting.
glitching, Lee.
All right, let me bounce out, and I'll be right back.
Hey, but Rich, what's next for you, man? Because Roach Balls is really it's the success you deserve, man. And this book, I mean, I have so much love for what you're doing. Uh,
Brother.
I can't say it enough. The first time I saw Roach Balls, my mind just went, it's like, yes, this is what CG needs. You know what I mean? So it's like sort of a double question. What is your prediction for what you're going to do, and also what CG is developing into? Because obviously, when we have a spot, then I think CG is becoming mature.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to speak on the CG stuff because I feel like there's so many different like branches and people doing their own thing, and then people are within, groups, and then maybe those groups are doing their own things, or people are like,
Well, the
cross
groups were a little bit of a problem, in my
collaborating
opinion,
and whatnot.
in the beginning.
Everybody's on a different vibe, so it's like really hard to say where CG is going. So at some point, I just the way I look at CG is like it's a network for for people to like meet up and shit. So it's like it's really hard to determine where overall it's going.
No,
I know,
but do you consider yourself to be under the umbrella of CG? Because even though I sort of battled everyone, I still thought I was CG.
yeah. I catered, not catered, but I showed off. Roach Ball's got its introduction to, mainly all CG folks. There's
But listen, and this is kind of
RNC.
what the criticasters of CG say is, yeah, CG, they're all Nazis and they're all fucking religious lunatics. No, man, it's not true. It's comic book fans who want a little bit of freedom. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And
So,
I
I mean, we
think
know that.
Napalm Brothers and Roach Balls and a couple of other comics, Max Headroom comic, and also, damn it, Mary Boys. It shows that CG is a lot more than just cape stuff or just political stuff or just
Yeah.
yeah, it's becoming grown up.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it's because more people are coming into it. People have their different characters. People have their different motives and shit too, and that's all good. And people have different destinations that they want to go to. So I think
Well put, man.
yeah,
That's well put.
Bush Ball's definitely got its shine in its first introduction under the CG
Dude,
umbrella.
how happy were you when you fucking launched your book and the response you got? I mean, you got nothing but love. I didn't see any negativity regarding your book,
Yeah, it was pretty dope.
And
And
I'm not even talking monetary wise because for me, that's like not the main issue. But you got so much love for your book, man. Did that make you feel good?
oh yeah, of course. And now it's a matter of living up to that hype, you know, and not saying I'm going to chase that shit because it's kind of weird to chase yourself in a weird way. If you get what I'm saying, like your own
Can't
hype,
do it, man. Can't
you
do it.
can't do it.
You
So
just have to do your book, bro.
yep,
You know,
it's the grindstone and just do
yeah.
the damn thing. So that's what I like. Back to your earlier question, that's what's the plan. It's just more roach balls, and I'm collaborating with some very awesome and talented homies, and very
Can you lift the veil? Can you sort of or not?
oh yeah. So I'm pretty sure some people in chat might know, or like maybe you guys have tuned in, but like Brian from Aerith Saga, who's
Okay,
doing the
cool.
Doors versus Junkman, and with Ali from 656. Those guys are insane. So he's bringing that to a different level. It's very
Man,
experimental, but
that's
it's
so fucking cool. That's so cool that you're collaborating with those people, man. You
yeah.
know, I
So
think
I'm like just that, and then got a little something else in the works that right now we're not talking too much about it, but
that's
definitely.
not Roach Balls related. It's just
No, it is. In
another.
a way, it
Okay,
is.
all right,
No, not in a
all right.
way it is. It definitely is, but it's involving somebody else too. So it's a crossover pretty much, but that's all I'm gonna really say about it. And then just trying to in between all that craziness, just trying to work on book 2.
When is your book coming out? How long is your campaign going?
It's already ended. Now it's in demand. And so right now I'm just waiting on my physical proof.
All
So
right,
that should be in by next week. And
next week.
then yep. And then right now I'm in the process. I just got them emails for the past couple days. So all the stuff that I had the stretch goals for, all that shit should be in within the next week or
Fuck, man!
two.
I want to throw in some fan art. You know, can I throw in some fan art, man? Can you do Six a favor and throw a little bit of fan art by me?
Yeah, you got something going on?
Fuck hell yeah, man! I've been
Yeah.
like I said, I worked really hard, but I think Roach Balls is so cool. Man, I've got something really cool for Roach Balls.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear it. Yeah, do some
All right, I'm
prints.
gonna try to make it on time. Otherwise, we'll do it in book 2 or something. Is that okay? Do you
Yeah,
think that's
yeah, it's
cool?
perfect, man. I'm still collecting
Or-
fan art and stuff because, like, obviously, I had a good, like, all these artists came out of nowhere, like, all talented people just came out of nowhere and blessed me with some dope ass artwork.
That's amazing. That's
You can't
amazing.
do everything with it all at one time, so I'm just like, stockpiling it up because
Listen,
this ain't
dude,
the
and
last of
that's the fucking cool thing about this community that we're in. It's
Yeah,
it's not just how do you say it? You know, readers buy books. No, this is actually a very talented and very creative group of people. You know,
yep,
from all facets uh, in this age, because it's not just the artists and the writers and whatever, but it's also the YouTubers. You know, I mean, I give a lot of flack to YouTubers, but yeah, there are a lot of creative people in there. You know, that can also do stuff.
oh yeah, there's so many different platforms now. It's like newer platforms are being created, every every so often and shit. So yeah,
Dude, I just saw a really cool comment by the Gordon Good Brother channel. He says, I think this is simultaneously the most laid back and most relevant indie comics live stream I've ever heard. Hey, appreciate it. Yeah, we love comics, brother. We really love comics. Both me
yeah.
and Richie, we do this all by ourselves. Lee from Fanatic Comics, he publishes his comics for the love of it, man, not just for making a quick buck. Or this guy, he's been collecting comics since the '60s. You know what I mean? He knows
Yeah, seriously.
everything about John Byrne, Fantastic Four era. You know everything. More, he knows everything. This guy, he's like a mental genius. The only thing he doesn't know is how to join the stream, but
Yeah,
we
so
can forgive him for that. Yeah.
I think did he kick himself out again by accident?
Yeah, he kicked himself out again.
Oh,
Lee, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you, man. Okay, I'm sorry.
all right. I still don't know the whole screen share thing, so I'm a caveman when it comes to this shit.
It's cool. Ah, man.
Yep. But yeah, make more comics, make more cool shit, So that's
What did you think about what I said about, like I said, when you want to make a comic. Don't rely on anybody else. Don't try to work your way into the industry. Uh, if your story is solid, you know, tell your story.
yeah.
Because that's what it's about. It's about the stories, you know.
Let's take that first step, man. I see so many people stressing all types of shit. And granted, like some of that stuff is shit that you should look into at some point, maybe, depending on how good or how shitty you are, how realistic you are with your level of skill.
Of
But
course,
maybe
yeah,
an
of course.
editor at some point down the road might help somebody. I don't know. I don't have an editor. My girl checks if I over punctuated shit, if I'd spelt stuff right. But other than that, she doesn't I don't have an editor to dictate where the story's going or anything like that, or be
No.
like,
No,
hey,
I
maybe,
understand what you mean.
yeah,
I'm more allergic for editors than I am to writers,
yeah.
but I
I'm not
understand what you
opposed
mean.
to that either, so it's like there's a different method for everybody. So but at the end of the day, the first thing you have to fucking do is just you got to just start that shit. That's it. Not to sound
Well,
like a Nike commercial, but you got to just do the damn thing. That's it. Just do it.
exactly.
That's
But sort of to hook in, gather some people you trust who can help you with this shit, because
yes,
I say I do everything myself, but of course, uh, I let my text get checked as well. I'm not a native English speaker,
yeah,
Guess nobody would have guessed, but my wife, she's an English translator, and she actually checks all my stuff, for the grammar aspect of it. So yeah, I just write it in pictorials, my story, because I can hardly write, and
What's funny? I heard you last time say that I forgot where, but you said something about not being, you're not from America, which is funny
yeah.
because I assumed off your comic and your whole style, and just the environment. I thought you were from the West Coast somewhere, like
No,
that.
dude, I did spend a lot of time there, but I didn't grow up there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So yeah, I'm very versed in the SoCal sort of lifestyle. Cholo, Latino, everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's that big
for
tiger
me, for
stuff you
me,
had too.
there's a
That's
really
very
big love. There's
yeah,
a big California love for me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And there's a big love for, let's say, street culture from the late '60s until now.
yeah,
Big love, big love, and I incorporate everything into my comic.
yeah.
Graffiti wise, I was doing graffiti with my cousin Greg when we were like fucking 9, 10 years old, man. We were going to train yards and we were bombing trains. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So yeah, I've been there. I understand it, and just because, again, maybe I'm not from a particular, let's say, social background, doesn't mean I don't have love for what it means
Yeah, of
uh,
course.
culturally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We do
So
that
yeah,
shit all the time here. So many people in America like come up with the coolest stories just off of going off of other cultures and shit. So this is why a lot of times, like I know, like a lot of people in America like to do the whole misappropriating thing and just point fingers and shit. But the thing is, though, like a lot of American culture is appropriated. You know what I'm saying? Everything is
true. Yeah,
makes it
true.
good. It's
Yeah.
just it's one of the endearing things about American culture. It is a melting pot of a bunch of things.
Well, listen, I guess I understand what you're saying, but the main thing is it's about free thinking and not
Yeah,
about
yeah,
wrong thinking. We have to get away from wrong thinking. We have to get away from blaming people, man. And
yeah,
listen, I also come from a time when comic books and movies and music, they used to bridge differences between people, And in that spirit, I also make the Napalm Brothers. I hope it sort of incorporates my love for these other systems and these other cultures that I have,
yeah.
and yeah, this madness that says that maybe a Chinese man he cannot write a black woman's story. That's bullshit. Because if you're a good writer, if you're a good artist, you can tell it.
Yeah.
We're all human and we all have empathy. And I think we really need to get away from the negativity in that regard. Creatively blaming people and finger waving. That's like the death of creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, I have faith that, some shit'll happen and they'll look
Dude,
back.
the pendulum will swing because it always does. Like I said, like on a macro historical level, uh, the pendulum swings, but also on a microcultural level,
Yeah,
tastes, people's tastes and preferences, they swing back. And yeah, the stuff that you bring out, it has to be true to yourself
for sure.
and true to the subject that you're trying to, or the story that you're trying to depict, and then it'll be okay. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, culturally now, is all these big time comedians like David Chappelle and Ricky Gervais are saying, yeah, fucking wokeism, it's just weak shit, man. I mean, everybody already agreed that there needs to be equality, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And everybody already agreed that Nazis are assholes.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are you people complaining about,
It's one of those things that there's really nothing, to complain about. So they find themselves complaining about the dumbass shit
Exactly. Do you think the people in Ukraine now are complaining about pronouns No, they're complaining about Russian rockets that fall through the roof, that bum up your shit. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. It's a luxury. Complaining is a luxury, a cultural luxury. That's so good that you said that, man. Spot
Yeah,
on.
it sure is. It
Spot
sure
on,
is.
man. Hey, I think Lee's back. Lee, do you have another question, man?
I thought I heard somebody mention me being a mental midget.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. We were just making fun of your internet skills, your interweb skills.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if that's the case. I'm on that same mental midget height because I'm not like I just told Six too. Like I don't even know how to share yet. The screen sharing thing is still
No, it's cool, man. That's so cool.
technologically inept as well.
Yeah, I
Doing
think
it,
we're
man.
having internet issues here. I think that's what it is.
Hey, but listen, Lee, how long have we been going, man? Let me see. I've been going for about an hour.
Oh, we've been on for a little longer now.
All right. Because I need to wrap it up, buddy.
Yes. El Crudo. I don't
Hey,
know
El
how you
Crudo's
got.
here.
I don't know how you got.
Got here, but you're welcome to stay.
Dude, El Crudo, we just gave you a huge shout out about 15 minutes back. And I did not rip off El Crudo. I think you are awesome. And we're all just playing in the 70s Gorilla Pond.
But yeah, I think we've pretty much covered all the bases. So just so everybody's up to snuff, the book is with the printer. We've received our proofs. We're now waiting for them to print the book, ship the book. We did make our first stretch goal, which was the 30 caliber
Bottle opener with the
bottle
logo.
opener.
That's so
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
we got that. The printer should be having that to us. I think they're shipping that in about 5 days. So yeah, we've pretty much got everything already here. We've got all the koozies are here at the house. And I gotta tell you, a bunch of my buddies, they saw them, and we ordered a crap load because it was such a good deal. My buddies were like, "Dude, I want one. Dude, I want one of those."
I will
So-
cherish the koozies for as long as I cherish my beers.
Well, so yeah, the koozies were a big hit. I mean, to this day where I live, there's about 10 guys running around with Napalm Brother koozie all the time.
That's awesome, man. You gotta take pictures. You gotta take pictures of these people, man, because I know they're gonna look awesome. You know, sporting
Oh,
that
yeah.
umbrella koozie.
Oh yeah, I love that koozie. And got my shirt. We made a mock-up of the shirt, and I've been wearing it around. And you know, it's funny. I was at the mall and I had the shirt on, and this guy goes, "Napalm in the morning, huh?"
That's right, motherfucker.
And I said, "Yeah."
Listen, Napalm Brothers has huge merchandise sellout potential. You know, we just gotta hit that fucking mark, man.
Oh yeah. And matter of fact, one of the guys that loves that koozie is a friend of ours, Billy, and he is a Vietnam vet. And
Okay.
man, he could tell you some stories that would curl your hair. But
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him, man. Maybe
Yeah.
we can set up some sort of private. Because yeah, for me, the Vietnam War, it's not over. You know, like I said,
yeah,
Uh,
and it ain't over for Billy.
the arcs are not linear. I'm gonna go back and forth. We're gonna go to different eras using the same characters. Maybe add some new characters. But yeah, Vietnam War is not over for me. It wasn't a gimmick, you know.
Yep.
I said this in a previous stream. I think maybe it was with you, or maybe with someone else. Literally, the first newsreels I can remember from my youth, and I must have been maybe 4 or 5 years old, was the carpet bombing of Cambodia. You know, and that was
Yeah.
sort of in the post Nam sort of stuff. But yeah, for me, it's real, and for me, it sort of showed what the world really is like. You know, and of course, later on in life, you sort of put the puzzle pieces together, both historically and what it means to you and what it means socially. But yeah, it's a real thing. It's not a gimmick at all. It's not a gimmick. And
Yeah.
can I say one more thing?
Sure.
For Matt Six Bar, it's also not a gimmick because this brother also knows what's going on, and I sort of went in with my heels first with Matt, but now we're really close. We're good friends. We're good online friends. I want to thank my dear friend Liz from Dapper Tattoo. I want to thank Max Hedstrom, Tony Sizzle, who to me is a demigod. How this guy does not make $1 million a year, I don't understand. Fucking Richie, man, yeah, I really appreciate you being here, man. I'm probably your biggest fan of what you're
Thanks,
doing.
bro.
I consider
Make this
you
round cheeks
for
blush,
what
bro.
it's worth. For what it's worth, I consider you a friend as well, man. I think we have rapport. I think we have a connection in what we're doing, and you're a cool dude, man. Thanks.
Likewise,
Thanks
brother.
for
We
being
chat all the time, man, in private and shit like that
for
too.
sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know, I definitely appreciate, your kindness and you reaching out and just being, hospitable towards me. And, so that's how all cool shit starts, just by saying what's
Sure.
up.
For
you
sure.
know?
That's how change. That's how real change starts, man. By connecting with people. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And of course, I want to thank Lee and Kerry from Fanatic Comics for you guys approached me, but we were on the same level from the get go. You love comics, I love comics. Let's make a fucking comic. That's what we did. Hey,
Yep.
Napalm Brothers, man.
Fuck yeah. Backer number 50, man. Finally glad I got to it. I'm glad.
Okay, I hope I
Well, I'm
didn't
glad you did
disappoint you.
too. And just so that we're all on the same page, we're all comic fans here. Whether
Sure.
you like the Fantastic Four or you like Superman, or whether you like the Napalm Brothers or you like Off-Worlder that we put out. We're all in
By
it
the
for this-
way, I didn't even talk about that, but Mike Barron is a huge supporter as well. And I don't know if we have any overprint lead, but we have to send Mike one of the omnibuses, man, because he's
Okay.
really he's been sharing links. He's a fucking cool dude. He's one of the very few writers I respect.
Mike is I met Mike, God, back in the 80s at a con, okay? And he was at that time he was doing Nexus and Badger. And I thought this guy, he was crazy, he was funny, he was great. And then the first time I was approached by Ben Henderson to reach out to Mike to get Off-Worlder done. And so Ben gave me Mike's number. And here I am, I'm still that kid that's a big fan of comics. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting ready to call Mike Barron. Mike fucking Barron. I can't believe this. And he was like, yeah, hey, how's it going? Well, let's just do this book. And I'm like,
Yeah, fucking
okay.
Off-World is just a cool book, man. It's up my alley because I don't really of course I didn't dabble into the Celtic theme and all that stuff. Well, a little bit maybe in the mystical pages, but that's really a huge part of my growing up as well. So maybe one of the days we can do something like that. But hey, listen, man, I gotta bug out. My boss called me and he's having a fucking seizure, and I have to go.
Okay. Well, it's been good talking to you, and it's nice meeting you, Rich. Hopefully, we can get together and do something in the future. But Six, brother,
I love you,
take
man.
care. Love the
I
book,
love you.
and can't wait for everybody to get it.
I love you, brother. See you later.
Love you
Thanks,
too.
Rich.
Hey, no problem, brother. Thanks for the invite. Like I said, glad to be a backer. All right. Peace.
Peace.